Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
All right.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Wait.
Meet Jensen Ames. He works at a steel mill and has been in prison before. One day he gets terrible news. The mill is closing down. Even worse, the workers won't get all the money they earned. This makes everyone very angry. The workers gather outside the mill to protest. When the police show up, things get bad quickly. They're rough with everyone, even if people aren't causing trouble. Jensen sees the police hurting his friends from work. He can't just watch. He jumps in to help and ends up fighting some police officers. Later that night, Jensen finally gets home. He says hello to his wife and goes to check on their baby upstairs, but something horrible is happening downstairs. A person wearing a mask has broken into their house. While Jensen is with the baby, this bad person kills Jensen's wife in the kitchen. When Jensen comes back down, the killer sneaks up behind him and knocks him out. Then the killer does something very cruel. They put the murder weapon in Jensen's hand to make it look like he did it. Before leaving, the masked person makes a mean gesture, like shooting a gun with their gloved hand. They planned everything to make Jensen look guilty. The police arrive, and Jensen wakes up only to find himself being arrested for his wife's murder. 6 months later, they take him to a new prison called Terminal Island. Right away, a mean guard named Ulrich sprays him with freezing water and lets another guard hit him. Then they put Jensen in a cell with 3 other prisoners who want to fight him. Later, Ulrich comes back, hoping to see Jensen hurt. Instead, he finds something surprising. Jensen has beaten all 3 cellmates in a fight. The next morning at breakfast, 2 prisoners named Coach and Gunner watch Jensen carefully. They know who he is. He used to be a famous race car driver until something bad happened. Then 2 other prisoners, Penko and his friend, start causing trouble. They spit on Jensen's food and say mean things about his wife and child. This makes Jensen so angry that he attacks Penko. Before the fight gets too big, guards grab Jensen and take him to meet someone important, Claire Hennessy, who runs the prison. Claire has a big surprise for Jensen. She knows all about his amazing driving skills. She has an interesting offer for him. There's a special race called Death Race, and it had a famous driver called Frankenstein who always wore a mask. The thing is, Frankenstein died after his last race, but nobody knows this except a few people. Claire wants Jensen to pretend to be Frankenstein. You see, Frankenstein was really popular and people loved watching him race. That's why Claire wants to keep his death a secret. The TV show's ratings have gone down since he died and she needs to fix that. Here's the good part. If a driver wins 5 races, they get to leave prison. Frankenstein had already won 4 races before he died. This means Jensen would only need to win 1 more race to get his freedom. But Jensen isn't sure about this. These races are very dangerous and he could die. But Claire doesn't give him a choice. She says if he doesn't agree, she'll put him in a special prison cell all alone so he can't tell anyone about Frankenstein. Jensen feels trapped, so he says yes. Next, Jensen goes to the prison's car shop. There he meets Coach and his team of mechanics who take care of Frankenstein's car. They tell him how everything works. Each team works alone, no helping other racers. Jensen also sees a big workshop where Claire has been building something in secret. Only Coach's team and some guards know that Jensen is the new Frankenstein. Coach shows Jensen his car. It's a super powerful Mustang V8 fastback. The car has lots of cool weapons and safety features, but they don't put any bullets or weapons in it until race day. Coach tells Jensen why nobody can escape from this prison. It's on an island with only 1 bridge leading out. If anyone tries to run away, the bridge would quickly be full of police cars and helicopters. Jensen goes to the prison yard with the team. There, Coach explains how the race works. It happens in 3 different parts. Coach explains how the race works. In parts 1 and 2, drivers try to knock out as many other racers as they can. In the final part, it's all about being the fastest to finish. Every driver gets a helper called a navigator, usually a woman from the women's prison. But there's one driver, Joe, who's different. He goes through so many female navigators that even the people watching the race feel uncomfortable about it. There's 14K, who's super smart. He went to MIT and is part of a gang called the Triad. Then there's Hector Grimm, who's crazy and really likes Claire Hennessy. There's also Pachenko, who leads a group called the Aryan Brotherhood, and Travis Colt, who used to be a NASCAR driver until something went wrong. While they're talking, Joe and his friends come over. They're not friendly. They tell Jensen that the race is just between Joe and Frankenstein. Then something interesting happens. A van brings back some prisoners from work, and Jensen notices they're wearing special bracelets that track where they go. This makes Jensen remember something important. The person who killed his wife was wearing one of these bracelets. On race day, Jensen puts on Frankenstein's clothes, mask, and ring. Just seeing Frankenstein again makes people excited to watch the race. Coach tells Jensen not to talk to other drivers. Frankenstein was known for being mysterious and quiet. But Jensen can take off his mask in the car because the windows are dark, and Case, his navigator, already knows who he is. Before the race starts, Jensen asks Case why she's in prison. She tells him a sad story. She killed a police officer who was her husband because he used to hurt her, but they can't talk more because the race is starting. The first lap is pretty calm because the weapons don't work yet, but drivers still try to push each other off the track. Case is really helpful because she knows the track well. Jensen and Joe are racing at the front, really close to each other. Then Case sees a secret shortcut. She tells Jensen where to go, and this helps them get ahead of Joe. When the second lap starts, things get really exciting. Claire turns on all the weapons and shields. Now to use their weapons, drivers need to drive over special spots on the track with all 4 wheels. The race suddenly becomes like a big battle. Claire makes it even more dangerous by turning on death heads. These are like deadly traps all over the track. A driver named Grim uses one of these traps to kill another racer. Then he sprays oil on Joe's car to slow him down. But Grim's luck doesn't last long. Another driver, 14K, shoots a missile at him, pushing him off the track. When Grim crawls out of his crashed car, Joe runs him over. Jensen has a problem. His machine gun stops working. Case is very brave and climbs onto the front of the car to fix it. This is super dangerous because other drivers are shooting at them, but Jensen drives really well and keeps Case safe until she can get back inside. The race gets even more intense. Jensen steals a defense spot from Colt, but just like the real Frankenstein had problems with his defenses, Jensen's shields aren't working well either. The back shield is getting weaker from all the bullets hitting it. He tells Case to grab the napalm container, which is like super strong fire fuel, and sit on his lap. Then he does something unexpected. He shoots Case's empty seat out of the car. The seat carrying the napalm flies right into Colt's car. Quick thinking Case throws their lighter at it, and boom! Colt's car bursts into flames. With Colt out of the race, it's just Jensen and Joe again, racing against each other. Pachenko makes a hand signal, the exact same one the killer used the night Jensen's wife died. This memory distracts Jensen, and Joe takes advantage. Back in the garage, Coach and his team check the car. They're confused because they can't find anything wrong with the weapons that failed during the race. Jensen gets angry and goes to talk to Claire. He tells her he thinks she planned everything. Getting his wife killed, fixing the race, and using Pachenko to trick him into becoming Frankenstein. Claire doesn't say if this is true. Instead, she threatens Jensen by showing him a picture of his daughter, who's living with a foster family now. She tells him that if he wants to see his daughter again, he has to keep racing. Feeling helpless, Jensen goes to the yard and talks with Coach. He asks Coach why he doesn't have a prisoner number. Coach tells him something surprising. He could have left prison 3 years ago, but he chose to stay. The outside world had changed too much, and he felt more comfortable here with the races. Coach also tells Jensen that he believes he's innocent of killing his wife. That evening, Jensen sees Pachenko walking to his team's garage and follows him, but it's a trap. Pachenko's men grab Jensen, and Pachenko starts hitting him. He picks up a heavy tool to kill Jensen, even though he knows Claire wants Jensen alive. Just in time, List saves Jensen by stabbing Pachenko in the back with a pen. Jensen grabs a metal stick from the ground and stabs one of Pachenko's men. After fighting off the others, Jensen focuses on Pachenko. He hits him hard, throws him into equipment, and smashes him into crates. Finally, Pachenko tells the truth. Claire ordered him to kill Jensen's wife, and Ulrich helped by bringing him to Jensen's house. Jensen is about to kill Pachenko, but Ulrich and another guard show up and pull Jensen away. The second race day arrives. Just before it starts, Pachenko makes that horrible hand gesture again, the same one from the night Jensen's wife died. When the race begins, Jensen does something unexpected. He drives slowly and takes a tunnel, wanting to talk to Case privately. In the dark tunnel, Jensen turns to Case with a serious question. Did you kill the old Frankenstein? He's worried because the car's weapons failed twice now, which seems strange. When Case doesn't answer right away, Jensen threatens to throw her out of the car. Finally, Case tells the truth. She admits she broke Frankenstein's weapons because Claire promised to set her free, but she says she never meant to kill him. Frank crashed trying to win without working weapons. Claire's real plan was to make sure Frank lost, so she could keep him racing and make more money from the show. Now that Jensen knows the truth, he races back into action, but he's not interested in Joe anymore. He wants Pachenko. They crash into each other again and again, but neither one can win. Then Jensen does something crazy. He drives over a weapon spot instead of a defense spot, which makes everyone confused because his guns are on the front of the car. Then comes the big surprise. Jensen spins his car around and drives backward. He shoots at Pachenko's car until it's really damaged. Then he turns forward again and releases smoke, making Pachenko crash into a wall. Jensen stops his car, walks up to Pachenko, and kills him to get revenge for his wife. While this is happening, Joe decides to change his navigator in the middle of the race. That's when Claire reveals her secret weapon, something called the Dreadnought. It's a huge truck with lots of weapons, bigger than any race car. This monster truck charges onto the track, easily crushing 2 other racers. It's so big and powerful that nobody stands a chance against it. The Dreadnought has another scary advantage. It can drive through buildings to take shortcuts. It goes after 14K next, slowly hurting his navigator before using chains to grab his car and shoot it until it explodes. Now only Jensen and Joe are left, and winning seems impossible. Then Jensen has an idea. He asks Lists to connect his radio to Joe's car, and they decide to work together. They drive on both sides of the dreadnought, carefully avoiding its attacks. When they see a trap spot on the track, they're clever. Both cars hit it with two wheels, turning on the trap and making the dreadnought crash. Stage 2 ends with just Jensen and Joe left for the final race. That evening, Joe visits Jensen and notices something strange. Jensen's voice sounds just like Frank's. Meanwhile, Claire and Ulrich make a nasty plan to kill Jensen in the final race. The next day, while Claire gives a speech about racing, Ulrich sneaks a bomb under Jensen's car. During her speech, Claire mentions something about someone maybe winning their freedom after 5 wins. This makes Jensen realize something terrible. Claire has been fixing all the races. She never lets anyone win their 5th race and get free. Coach hears this too and shows Jensen an important detail from when Grimm died. This gives Jensen an idea, and he asks List to add a special gas tank to his car. Then he goes to talk to Joe about working together again. While Jensen gets ready, Claire visits with his release papers. She makes him an offer. If he wins, she wants him to stay and keep being Frankenstein. She says he can't give his daughter a good life as an ex-prisoner anyway. Jensen takes the papers but doesn't say anything. Case then tells Jensen that Claire asked her to stop him from winning. The final race starts. Ulrich cheats by only turning on the weapon spots for Joe. He shoots at Jensen until Jensen has to drop his back shield. But Joe knows all the old tricks from watching Frank race. Claire turns on a defense spot for Jensen, but Joe destroys it with a rocket. Joe keeps shooting rockets at Jensen, but Jensen isn't really trying to dodge them. Instead, he lets them hit a specific wall, the same weak spot from when Grimm died. This was their plan all along. The rockets break open a big hole in the wall. Instead of finishing the race, Jensen and Joe do something nobody expected. They escape through the hole.